All right, Stephanie Wasso is in the building this morning. Hi.
Hi, good morning. I think we should just agree. Anytime you see Simba smiling, it's because I'm here.
No.
I think we are concluding that. You see? It's true. Good morning, Simba.
Anyway, Stephanie Wasso, it might be true that a greater number of members of parliament could be infected.
Yes. My base is actually trending number 4.
Yeah?
It's trending number 4.
It's not a good thing.
It's not a good thing.
Well, we're expecting them to talk about the measures that the president just put in place the other day, the anti-corona bill.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's not that good.
It's not that good.
Yeah, it's not that good. The bill, oof. Bill is not really that good. Do you know that if you want to go somewhere today, let's go, you want to go to Nairobi Park.
Yeah.
The park fee has been taken up by 300%. I don't know why.
Why?
Initially, it was VAT exempt. Like for any local, you go in and then you're paying 150 shillings. Used to be, we used to take my nieces and nephews there. But right now, it's been hiked by 300%. Do you know why? Under the new anti-corona, well, it's now been included in the VAT. Yeah.
But now who's going to go?
Electricity and fuel and all that is going to be much expensive. Yeah, these smaller companies under manufacturing, which we also want to help in the production of masks, they ain't going to make it easy for them because it's also even much expensive now. Because just before that, they were exempted from the high cost energy. Now, they're back in it again. Exposed. Just after a few months after passing it, they're back in it again. I don't know. It wasn't so good. It wasn't so good. It wasn't so good. It wasn't so good. Anyway, can we have a look at exactly where we are now?
Yes. Now in Kenya we have, the government has announced 14 more patients with COVID-19, bringing the total to 172 confirmed cases.
That's 172 now.
Imagine.
Oof.
It's rising quite fast.
Exponentially. But we were told.
We were told, yes.
That we do expect that. And so we're just hoping that with the new lockdown, is it getting? Is it partial lockdown?
I don't think it's going to work. You know why? Because now it was supposed to be my last point, but since we're talking about, so I don't know if you've seen the video. A video has emerged showing residents of Machakos County accessing the city through the banks of Athi River, as one person can be heard saying they shall overcome the lockdown order. People are crossing, they're using other routes.
I saw that.
Yes.
Yes. So another guy saying, my home is just there.
Yeah.
I can see it. And I can't go there. You got to stop that person from accessing that.
You can't.
Yeah. I don't know exactly how we look at it because now, let me ask you, Stephanie Wasso. You do know the type of transport that happens between probably your area and Nairobi. Yeah. It's estimated that in a month, 4 million Kenyans move in and out of Nairobi. And also go to Mombasa as well and all that. I'm also part of that statistic as well. So what happens to these businesses therefore, where you're telling them, well, all these long distance routes have been closed for the next 21 days, so what are they going to do?
But some people are stuck.
Yeah, they are. I'm talking about these businesses. So what are you going to do for them? You know, the government keeps on announcing these measures.
But they don't give us,
but at the back end of that, there are deeper and deeper holes that you're digging for Kenyans. Now, those are job losses.
True.
Yeah? Yes. So what's going to happen now? For these bus companies, I'll tell you, Matunda bus company, that employs so many people as well, drivers and conductors and all that. So what's going to happen for them? You know? Because that's a thing, isn't it? And they expect to pay their tax as well. They're registered company, they're registered SACCO. So the care is going to come for them. So when they're going to get this money for the next 21 days?
For their family, for the rent. It's what they're not saying. They're not giving us solutions.
That
really not giving
is exactly what most Kenyans are asking for, isn't it?
Yes. So now, I don't know if you have a loan or not, but banks have up to Friday to submit details of all loans renegotiated under the payment relief to support businesses and individuals during the coronavirus pandemic. So CBK has put strict measures to track loans that will be given extension, including monthly reports by banks with details showing why the relief was offered, monitoring measures, and set timelines for loans revert to normal. So
I've got a problem with that. I just don't get it. Because if you're applying measures, Stephanie wants to look, if you're applying measures to cushion the economy, then cushion everybody.
Yes.
Make it a directive. This is what we expected.
Yeah.
That everybody who has a loan that is active as of March 2020, you've been given this timeline. So the only thing the CPK would have done is just give us your loan books so that we make sure that nobody would be listed or be demanded to pay this fees or this loan within this period that we've said they're not supposed to pay it. So now once you say it's up to you to go to the bank and talk to them, so what if the bank refuse?
True. What happens next?
So what happens next? Because it was left up to us to go to the banks and renegotiate our paying terms and periods. So what if they refused? Am I supposed to report them? Don't they have, it's within I would say it's within the mandate to say yes or no. Because they're also a business. Because it was not a strong directive, Stephanie Wanso. It was sort of an advice. The banks were advised, not strongly, it wasn't a directive. That for me is that's my view. Because we were protecting the economy, then protect everybody, protect the businesses, and these personal loans that people have taken. It's not up to you and me, Stephanie Wanso, to walk into a bank and tell them, now my business has told me they're gonna give me half of my salary and a quarter for the next one, and then the other month they're gonna pay me. No, I don't have to do that because we do know the effects of the economy generally, isn't it?
Yes.
That for me is a problem.
Which I understand.
Now for me is a problem. So now we only have up to Friday.
Yes.
So now we have to go back to the banks again and speak to them.
We have today and tomorrow. Probably even today.
Just today, because on Friday they're coming back for those reports.
Yes. So there's a comment from Fred McCory. He says, ifikia banka wangu asisema hakuona. Probably aliona, but it's
but
not
Fred,
up
it's not up to your bank.
Up to your bank.
It is up to you to go to your bank.
To your bank, yes.
And then after that, your bank might refuse. That's it. That's why it's not that strong.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not like a moratorium that was effected instantly. And now every loan in the Kenyan economy that was active as of March, no. It was just an advice. That's why it's not really that strong. That's why you had other banks within a period as well that didn't follow that directive immediately. Others have to wait for 2 days. My bank waited for 3 days.
Yeah, they
if
did.
I could see a free transfer to my mobile wallet. Think about it.
They actually did.
Because it wasn't a strong directive.
It wasn't.
It is up to the banks.
Giving you a choice.
It's just a choice, isn't it? It's up to the banks. If they could do it or not do it, it was there in their mandate. It's a business.
It is a business.
Think about it. I mean, it's more of CSR. So there's social responsibility. It was actually in that way. Do you want to protect your citizens from COVID-19 or not? Well, you can do that. They're coming to talk to you. Please listen to them. CSR.
It's true. It's true. Anyway, on to my last, story, but not really a story. It's sort of like a funny segment. So this is the Minister of Health in Sudan was being interviewed. He does off and started snoring live on TV.
Wait, was that? That's a very old clip, though.
Is it? I've never seen it.
I've seen it.
You've seen it?
I've seen it.
I've never seen it. Probably my viewers haven't seen it.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Can I play it? Can I watch it now?
But fine, you can watch it.
I've never watched it.
Yeah.
Can I put?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Myself, I've never seen it.
You've ever seen it?
Nope.
You've never seen it?
Okay, well, I've seen it.
I've never seen it.
Yeah, I will show it to you. I've seen it.
But how would you sleep during an interview?
Probably the guy was working overnight. I mean,
probably, but life is tough out here. Life is tough.
Isn't it? Yeah. All right, that's it. It's a good way to start your morning.
It is a good way to start the morning,
So what happens? Do you shout to wake him up?
I don't know.
Yeah, I will shout. All right, that's exactly how we start this morning. Now, some of the stories, especially the cries for the MSME sector. right now within this COVID-19 pandemic are going to take the center stage of our conversation with CPA. Enoch Munari is in the studio this morning, so we can get there straightened out. Stephanie Waswa, take us out to the next part of our show.
Before we go on a short commercial break, we'll leave you with the daily commodities.
Do you want to know what makes a business successful? Capital. It starts with working capital to fulfill your obligations for, let's say, 1 year. And when you're ready to expand and maybe you may not have the necessary resources, then you take on debt capital, which you can take from a bank or from somebody else if it's money. And when you grow and you want to expand your business even further, you could take on equity capital by listing your business on a private or public market, and then people invest in the shares. On the Capital Point, we rely on data and insights from business leaders from across the economic divide who are at the top of the capital ladder so that your capital investments are well informed. At this time on Metropol Television.
When you hear the word business, what comes to mind? Skyscrapers, fast-moving economy, technology and innovation, dollar versus the shilling exchange rate, financial markets, or better still, the US versus China trade war? Is there a magic bullet that can spark Kenya into economic growth? How about this? How is Africa the next economic frontier? What does that even mean? Questions that keep popping up. Is foreign aid helping Africa develop, or rather is it stagnating it? Does good politics translate into economic development? Well, on Metropol Debrief, we break down business, telling you why it matters and showing you how and when it affects your bottom line. This and much more on the new season of Metropol Debrief at 8 p.m, where we're bold and balanced.
I'd like to start by thanking you all for the support that you've provided on the youth agenda, specifically the jobs creation agenda, and the outcome that we share with respect to ensuring that the wage productivity balance is realized. And this has been primarily achieved through the cooperation of the Kenya Association of Manufacturers and the Ministry of Education. And today we have two major outcomes. First, the enrollment has increased to 400,000 students in technical vocational training institutions. This is a 200% increase. And secondly, we have transitioned the entire national system from a supply-driven system to a demand-driven system, introducing occupational standards in all work that we do with respect to curriculum reform and assessment being carried out by industry. We resolved to continue this cooperation and increasing cooperation in the East African community with respect to ensuring that we address collectively aspects of social, economic, and environmental issues, creating a greater interdependency and the ability to look at the East African community as one single market with a value proposition of your investments and your further value chains at an extra level, but at the same time addressing the protection of the community and its markets and promoting the highest level of links and galvanization between the states to address outcomes of global opportunities and global value chains and other kinds of opportunities. On the issue with respect to doing business indicators, as industry, you're aware that we look at this from a process perspective, and therefore everything from starting a business to employing workers to getting electricity and all the other fundamental issues will be in close cooperation with your involvement and inclusivity with respect to ensuring that we're able to find ways in which we enhance the overall productivity, innovation, and efficiency of elemental issues. And this will depend highly on our ability to work together.
Welcome back to Metropol Television. You're watching Business AM. My name is Simba Elijah Shaltke. Again, this morning we are joined by Enoch Monari, CPA. What we're going to do this morning, therefore, is tell you exactly what you're waking up to in terms of the biggest economic headlines as we wait for Big screen to give you that data now. The government's ban on movement in and out of Nairobi, Mombasa, Kwale and Kilifi counties has elicited mixed reactions, with many travelers having been caught off guard. Many were stranded on their way into Nairobi, while others were forced to cancel their travel plans as the ban took effect Monday evening. Meanwhile, Kenya Railways Corporation has withdrawn the Madaraka Express train services that operated daily between Nairobi and Mombasa. Now, this is following the presidential directive on the cessation of movement in and out of Nairobi metropolitan area, as well as Mombasa, Kwale and Kilifi counties. Now, Kenya Railways Corporation Managing Director Philip Mainga has, however, said that SGR and meter gauge railway freight services will continue uninterrupted in accordance to the 24-hour schedule. Mainga further said that Nairobi commuter rail service to Wiru, Embakasi, Syokimau and Kikuyu stations will continue to operate its schedule as normal. Now, continuing on that, low-cost air carrier Jambo Jet has temporarily suspended all its operations for the period until 30th April 2020. Now, the suspension, which took effect yesterday, has seen the airline cancel all its flights with immediate effect. However, Jambo Jet, a wholly owned subsidiary of Kenya Airways, has told its passengers who had scheduled to travel within the month of April 2020 to consider rescheduling their travel plans to a later date at no extra cost. The airline's management says the value of these tickets will remain valid for a period of 12 months from 7th April 2020. Now, the government of Kenya yesterday, that's on April 2026, announced the cessation of all movement by road, rail or air in and out of Nairobi, Mombasa, Kilifi and Kwale counties for the next 21 days. Now, more than ever, we expected an economic package to go to the affected sectors and industries because they are well known. Why haven't we seen this happen? Or does the government have money for this kind of economic cushioning? That's exactly the question that we're asking this morning. Enoch, you can't come and say, don't go into Nairobi. In fact, they shouldn't have said, we have cancelled all the services of, number one, local air carriers, number two, local road transport, and number three, SGR. In fact, that was supposed to be the communication. Because the cessation pretty much means everybody in that transport industry, close your business. Then everybody did expect again that now the next announcement for the president could have been, now because of that, therefore, for the next 21 days, this is what we're going to do for you because we do know your services have been stopped as we do know of them. Was that what could have happened, or it's fine, let's fight COVID-19 regardless?
Thank you so much, Kiak. I think the first thing I want to say is that the move, of course, to do containment for Nairobi and the coast counties was long overdue because even the Kenyans themselves have been asking for this for a few weeks now, and everyone has been saying, when can we have this happening?
Yes.
In fact, what Kenyans have been asking for was a total lockdown, which has not happened. But the president and the National Security Council came up with a lighter kind of lockdown, which is now containment, where you cannot move outside Nairobi metropolis, and you can also not move from outside the three counties in the coast. But the reason why the president did this is, I think, is the realization that the bank balances for the national government are not making sense. And I mentioned this earlier on a call with you on Skype.
Yes.
That when you look at the financial statements of the government only had 2.8 billion shillings as at the end of February. That's a month ago. Coupled with the fact that we've not had activity for the month of March, I don't think they have collected much.
Yes.
We are probably operating on some soft loan somewhere. So if you tell the president that they need to come up with an economic package, which may involve direct injection of cash to the affected people or the essential goods, I don't think the government right now is able to do that. And the president, of course, lives with that reality. and felt that instead of facing social unrest, let's try to contain people within a given county and see how it burns out in the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Yes.
Then we can make a further decision. But at the moment, the president is not saying it, but the truth is the Kenyan government is unable to feed its people. That is the reality.
And that's the reality, isn't it? So therefore, when you tell these businesses close, and I want to take you back to what the CBK, Central Bank of Kenya Governor, Dr. Patrick Njoroge, did say. He said that, yes, we do have a war chest to fight the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic on our economy. But he said, we don't want to use all of them at a go. What we are starting with right now, let's enable our our lenders now within the economy, so that should we get to that level where we need this liquidity again back to the economy, we have it. We saw it took the money of the banks. They actually did reduce the CBR to 7.25%. But at that time, for you, when you look at it, you can't tell us that now your banks are empowered to give you that money at cheaper rates, when in reality, them also, they have been hit. It's now the transactions fees are being taken out, and that's the major earning point for these banks. So what are we saying? Are we saying that we are at a place where it is, let's pray and hope that this COVID-19 ends, because if it doesn't, then we as an economy are down, because it looks like that. People are crying, Enoch, but nothing is happening to that effect.
There is no war chest anywhere that we have and we're waiting to use to fight. I think what the central bank governor was doing was trying to buy time to see whether they can be able to get other options.
Yes.
Because the first directives that he gave were not really going to help us. I mean, the banks have not reacted to the directives that they were given. I have so many people who have gone to their banks to ask for rescheduling of their loans, and it's not happening. This morning, and I'm sorry to say, I received a message from Tala that I've not paid my loan, and there's a rollover fees. And these are the things that we were fighting against when all this started, that kindly ensure that you put Kenyans in a comfort zone so that whatever directives you give them, they can be able to hit them.
Yes.
But if Kenyans are worried about their next meal, if people are worried about how they'll get Medicare, these things cannot be able to work. And what we want right now is things that can be able to be directly felt, not the kind of programs that the central bank governor and the president has been rolling out, which are good for the economy, but they're not good when we are facing a pandemic like the one we are facing currently, where we need quick action, prompt action, and action that can be able to be felt immediately, not something that we can be able to look at 6 or 8 months later and say, it worked.
Yes. I want to ask you this question, and I came across that comment from some of the operators now who've been heavily affected, because now, as we do know of it, tourism is dead and gone in the country. Transport now, as we do know of it, it's also now getting heavily affected. Now they were saying, look, is it not possible for the government to say that we do know these circles, we do know these hotels, we do know these operators, they are registered and they are paying their taxes. So since we are approaching it differently as opposed to a total lockdown, so can we spare them some of these funds to go and cushion them from these effects?
No, the question is which funds? That is the question.
Yes.
Do we have some funds somewhere that can be able to be used to cushion such organizations?
Yes.
We do not have those funds.
When we talk about the funds, we do know that there's an emergency kitty now that has been launched by the president, and we do know Cooperative Bank was among those, the first ones to also donate 100 million shillings. Could we start to think about it from that perspective, where we say, well, you don't have the money, but because we have people who want to help, yes, you could take some of these monies to that sector, which has now been crippled?
I think we really have to blame the executive, because we cannot wait until we have such a pandemic. Then we start creating an emergency fund to try and mobilize resources from the private sector again to be able to cover the government. Because how much do we have in that kit right now? We do not know. I saw the EACC boss giving a check of 2 billion from saying that this money that they had recovered from corruption cases, and it's going to that kitty. We do not know whether the kitty that really has enough money. And I told you some times back that for you to be able to feed Kenyans, you need at least 50 billion shillings a month. So for the 3-month period that we expect to have a lot of disruptions, you need 150 billion shillings.
Yes.
Forget about trying to cushion SMEs and other organizations. That is, if you are able to directly feed the Kenyans. The government does not have that kind of money. And we are just hoping, and you said it earlier, we are praying that the virus does not spread so fast and we do not have so many deaths, so that panic can come in. Because at the moment, we still do not have panic in the country.
Yes.
Because the way the CS has been handling the matter, people feel like it's a small issue. It's only 172 people. I mean, out of 48 million, it's a small number. But the moment we'll have mass testing and the numbers go up and the deaths probably go up, then there will be panic. And the few things that you feel we're holding on to, they'll collapse.
Yes.
Then at that point, the president will look back and say, I wish I had done this. I wish I had locked down this county or this city,
yes,
so that we can be able to avoid the kind of spread. So the government is not ready in terms of cushioning businesses. The government is not ready actually to feed the Kenyans.
Yes.
That is the challenge.
Yes.
And it all boils down to how much we have. They are willing to do it, but when they look at the figures, when they look at the stores and the kind of food we have, it is not enough.
Yes.
Yes.
Somebody asked me to pose this question to you this morning.
Yes.
We do have economies, which are regional economies, your neighbors, which we do know our economy is also doing better than them. Case in point, yes, Uganda, Rwanda as well.
Yes.
Why do they seem to take proper measures in terms of cushioning the economy now from the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic than Kenya is doing at present?
No, we are a better economy, and we are bigger than them.
Yes.
But we also have a bigger democratic space,
yes,
than the two countries that you've mentioned, such that every single action that we take is subject to a lot of questions from
yes,
so many people.
Yes.
Unlike what happens in Uganda and Rwanda, they may be facing worse situations, but the mere fact that their presidents are kind of dictators and nobody can really question their actions, things are moving.
Yes.
But in the country, we have to follow the law. That is what we say.
Yes.
That the president went ahead and came with proposals on what he wanted to do, but it has to go to parliament,
yes,
for approval before it can be able to be implemented. Someone went to court the other day to be able to stop the curfews because of the kind of democratic space that we have. So if you have to look at Kenya and democracies like South Africa and what they're doing. We are facing similar challenges. Kenya and South Africa. I mean, people are rioting in South Africa.
Yes.
They're in a complete lockdown, but people are rioting. And they have not done so much like we expected our president to do in terms of feeding people directly. People are under lockdown, and they are wondering, how can we be able to get our next meal?
Yes.
So that is the challenge. And we just hope that we can be able to take actions similar to our neighbors, but try and ensure that we don't end up in situations where you have social unrest because of lack of food.
Yes, interesting. Therefore, you should be talking about how our democracy is the one that is tending to hold us back. Now, speakers of the National Assembly and the Senate have postponed the special sittings that were to be held by both houses this week. Now, this is following the order by the President, Uhuru Kenyatta, banning movement in and out of the Nairobi metropolitan area, Mombasa, Kwale, and Kilifi counties, which have been classified as hotspot areas for COVID-19. The Senate was scheduled to hold its special sitting yesterday, while the National Assembly was scheduled to do so today on Wednesday. Now, the postponement of the special sitting by the National Assembly could delay the debate and approval of the President Kenyatta's expenditure and taxation proposals touching on the COVID-19 emergency. How do Kenyans therefore process this announcement? Now, some companies have already applied the tax measures that the President proposed in anticipation for its unanimous passing in the House. If they do not meet in the near future, will the government risk a tax loophole created by the National House's inability to meet? And should have the President's tax proposals gone back to the House to begin with? Because that's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, they're not going to meet. Some of them need debating, and we're going there next to see exactly how it's supposed to be. In the first question, yes, if we were all in agreement that yes, we need this from the President, why did he have to go back to the House again?
It is procedure, and that is what is in law.
Yes.
That
Should have we bypassed this procedure because the economy is in sort of an emergency state?
No, if the only way we could have bypassed this procedure is if the president declared in a state of emergency in the country, and then suspended the law, the constitution as it is, so that then we can be able to implement whatever proposals he has without having to follow the law.
Yes.
But that has not happened. So we still have a working constitution. We still have laws in this country.
Yes.
And other than VAT, where the CS managed to use a loophole in the VAT Act to have it implemented immediately, subject to approval by Parliament, all the others need approval by Parliament. And we now know why Parliament didn't sit. Parliament didn't sit because of the containment directive that the President gave. Parliament is not sitting because they will not marshal numbers in Parliament, because you saw from yesterday, today's newspaper, 17 members of Parliament have actually, we're still waiting for confirmation, tested positive for COVID. Now, remove that number, remove another number of MPs and senators who are more than 58 years, who are not supposed to appear in Parliament. Remove another number of MPs and senators
interacted with
who have chronic diseases like diabetes, cancer, and the rest. They're not supposed to appear in Parliament. How many people will end up in Parliament? 15, 20? And that is not enough, because you must be able to get and
also include the 1.5 meter sitting distance, which means we also want to take some of them out of Parliament again.
Exactly. Yes. So we've ended up in this because we've delayed action.
Yes.
You see what happened in the US when the president, when Trump decided to act, there was a document ready to go to the legislative houses. And it was approved immediately. For us, we've taken so long that from the day the president gave the directives, it's almost 2 weeks now, that we still had to take time to come up with a date for the special sitting. It is something that should have been done immediately. Maybe a day or two later. I mean, with drafting being done quickly, a Senate sitting, under the National Assembly sitting, and an approval. Right now, it's not possible. And nobody is going to implement those changes if they have not passed through Parliament. It is not possible. The only thing we can implement is the lowering of VAT from 16%
to 14%, yes.
The rest have to wait for parliamentary approval. And how I wish we could take advantage of technology in such a case. Because I am using technology where
I know they're saying that you also have now to change the law, therefore. Because that's exactly
we have an
to enable them do that.
We have a CS in ICT.
Yes.
We've always wanted to create laws to fight bloggers.
Yes.
Because that is the people we felt are fighting us. But we've never seen the need of creating laws which actually permit Parliament to sit bicameral.
Yes.
And if that happened today, and we have an app like Zoom and so many others, all the MPs could log in from their beds, their hospital beds, their golf, where they're playing golf, and debate and approve, and we could have moved on. But that is not there. So we still have to serve as a nation, and the president has to come up with measures that do not need changes in law to actually cushion Kenyans. And that is what probably they should try to do now, because Parliament is not meeting in the near future.
I want to tell you, therefore, because every Kenyan news listening to that, we've already seen exactly what the president wanted to do. As we do know of it now, it's just the VAT one that we can actually start applying as of now, because 1st of April was just a week ago. What happens if they do not meet? What happens to the president directive? Does it die?
It just remains that a directive which does not have a timeline, until such a time when Parliament can be able to sit to debate the Tax Amendment Act, the Tax Laws Amendment Act, it just remains that, a directive. And there's nothing you can do about it. KRA cannot be able to implement those measures unless they have approval from Parliament. Unless the speakers of both houses sit down and say, let's break the law, implement, then we can hope to clean. I mean, it's a special situation. We're in a situation whereby we need these things to be done. They can say, fine, implement. It will be illegal, but we'll try and deal with it later when we
have that capacity. Good. It's a good thing that we're talking about them right now, because Enoch, as it turns out, these directives were not that easy. They are not actually that good, because LSK is coming out and now opening our eyes to how bad some of this might be. Now, They have challenged the bill under the following areas. Number one, I just want us to go slowly on them so that you understand that the electricity expense reductions introduced in 2019 to make manufacturing cheaper will be removed. Let's go to the next one. Capital gain tax exemptions with properties worth less than 3 million shillings and agricultural properties less than 50 acres, and savings plans exemptions, meaning homes to cost more under the anti-corona tax bill. Let's just leave it there before we go to the next one. Good. Of course, you can't introduce these measures without trying to play a balancing act. Yeah. But this balancing act removes exactly what it is that we've been fighting for. Is it a good thing or a bad thing? Let's just start from there. This anti-corona bill.
The CS Treasury got it all wrong.
Yes.
Because the reason why we are coming up with this amendment bill was to try and address the issues we currently have, not the issues Treasury has.
Yes.
The issues we have as a country when it comes to cushioning Kenyans from high prices of commodities.
Yes.
And trying to ensure that people don't feel squeezed in terms of having enough money in their pockets for this period. We did not give the CS Treasury room to come up with a complete finance bill, so which cushions also care in terms of collection. And that's where he went wrong.
Yes.
Because he has presented a document that only addresses 20% of the issues the president raised and 80% his own issues.
Yes.
And when the document came out and we discussed it as ISPAC, those are the questions people were asking. Why are we addressing other issues other than the issues that the president directed the CS Treasury and Parliament to address in the bill?
Yes.
And we could still have had a very big challenge if this document went to Parliament, because LSK has come out. LSK only picked 2 or 3 issues, but there are more. I managed to pick 14 of them from that bill, things that have been introduced that do not work against us. And it's a way that the government works, that when you get a loophole, you have to introduce other things that in an ideal situation, you are sure you could not get approval. But because of the unique situation, you throw them in so that as you read the document, you say, fine, just like we did in the Constitution, it is 75%, okay? We can always deal with the 25%. That is what the CS Treasury is trying to do.
Yes.
But I can tell you, based on the response we've gotten from professionals, people were fighting back against the bill, especially on very specific areas that LSK is highlighting, and even KPMG highlighted and ISPAC, that are actually going to be detrimental to Kenyans.
Yes.
So we are trying to make gains, but at the same time, we are taking away some of the gains that people have been enjoying.
Yes.
We had to leave people at the level they are.
Yes.
And try and improve their situation. Not take them down 2 steps, then say now we are trying to bring you up.
Interesting enough, I want to ask you a question now for this morning, to the point on which we sort of come up with these bills that we normally throw to Parliament to discuss. I know Kenya is synonymous of coming up with bills that sometimes leave us wide mouth open, but this one again. Just the other day is when manufacturers were given a reprieve in the cost of energy within the country. It's not even been operational for long.
Exactly.
It's been there for just a couple of months.
Exactly.
Then, bam, anti-corona bill within there, you have to start repaying your electricity bills to the point that you were paying them before we actually gave you the reprieve. But we are calling on these same manufacturers right now to give us masks. Is it that the president didn't look so much into this? Is it that this document was also presented before it went back to the president's office again, before it could be thrown back to Parliament? Because he would have said no. Come on, Enoch. He would have said no.
There's a lot of disconnect in government, and I want to take you back to when the president was reading the directives for the containment. The document itself was so ambiguous. Some of us started rushing to the shop to do shopping.
It's true though, there was within also.
Exactly. I mean, and it took the clarification from an official within State House for people to cool down.
What it really meant.
It just tells you the kind of disconnect that is in government, and when it comes to this document, not so many people are keen about them. I mean, the same anti-corona bill, as you call it, the president directed that corporation tax be reduced from 30% to 25%.
Yes.
It has not been included in that bill. is it a case of the CS Treasury not obeying the directives of the president?
Or is he at a catch-22 point? I can't go that low. Because we don't know the situation where he is in. Because at the same point, when you're trying to protect the economy as well, Enoch, you got to look at the position that Kare and Yatani finds himself in.
Well, the situation that we are in, Kiage,
Yes.
is a situation whereby if you don't take action,
Yes.
you will not have an economy to cushion anyway.
Yes.
Because things are slowing down every day. So as the CS Treasury tries to work out the numbers, he should realize
Yes.
that in 6 months' time, if we don't take the right action now,
Yes.
we'll not have even an economy
Yes.
to be able to be proud of.
Yes.
So they must take these actions. And again, this bill can be taken as a temporary bill for a given period. So he'll still have an opportunity to present a new bill in Parliament through the finance bill in June or July,
Yes.
if once we get there, to even reverse some of these things,
Yes.
if he wants to. Because the directives the president gave were to cushion Kenyans now.
Yes.
They are not permanent.
Yes.
Yes.
I want to tell you exactly where we are right now in terms of the announcements that we've already started seeing from companies and entities within the economy that were anticipating the unanimous passing of that bill. Now, tourism subjected to a 14% VAT while currently exempt. So far, KWS did announce that the park fees within the country was already hit with an increase of 300%. Now, let's continue. Solar equipment will be subjected to VAT, as well as foreign direct investment through NSC will be hit as exemptions proposed to newly listed companies are being proposed for removal. Now, main entities like T-Board of Kenya, Dairy Board, among others, and KPLC has lost tax exemptions. All these LSK points have nothing to do with the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, I want to throw you to another one. Just the other day, we were celebrating about how costs of energy were going to come down considerably to the point of 90 shillings. Some were saying 87 shillings. Look, so if the anti-corona bill is still in operation or is going to be in operation, we're not going to see that because energy now is also among those that are affected. So what's going to happen to entities like KWC, Kenya Wildlife Service, who've already hiked their park fees as we speak right now?
I think they jumped the gun, and it's wrong that they did it. They did not have the right. They're trying. Theirs is
they were anticipating, isn't it?
They were anticipating, and it's in goodwill.
Yes.
The president gave directives, but you cannot implement them until they become law. So for them, they jumped the gun, and it's wrong. Probably something that they have to clarify. But it's again wrong that the CS Treasury has gone ahead to hit some of these areas to try and collect more, because currently the fear they have is in terms of collection. And I want to take you back to the financial statements for the government as at 29th February.
Yes.
The revised target for tax collection is 1.7 trillion. It was revised from 1.8. As at 29th February, the government KRA had only managed to collect 995 billion.
Yes.
So they had around 700 or so billion to collect between March and June. Near impossible. I doubt they can even manage 300. Now with what we are going through, it will even be worse. So the CS Treasury is trying to look for a way of balancing that out to see whether they can be able to reduce the deficit come 30th of June. Because you see, the government is still operating. Salaries are being paid, projects are ongoing, expenditure is ongoing. We've not put a freeze on expenditure. So the government must look for money. And our friends that we normally go to at such a time to get loans from, either multilateral or bilateral, are also hit by COVID-19. So they are not probably going to come to the table to advance us some money. So it's a situation whereby we have to try and work out with what we have and see how long it can take us.
Yes.
That is the catch-22.
Yes.
But honestly, the CS Treasury and the team at Treasury got it all wrong when it comes to the bill. And I'm happy that Parliament is not sitting, so they have a good time to relook at it.
Yes.
So that we can be able to have a bill that addresses the issues now.
Yes.
We can deal with these other issues when it comes to June.
Yes.
when he will be presenting the budget.
Question being therefore, if we are going to come and deal with these issues in June, and the anti-corona was anticipated, the anti-corona bill was pretty much given a lifeline of maybe 2 or 3 months to be in operation. Would it be too late therefore for even us to talk about the government trying to help its citizens when in reality the situation just remains the same, other than just VAT?
No, the president has to be practical enough now
Yes.
and take actions that may not involve changes in law
Yes.
to cushion Kenyans. Things like sending food directly to the marginalized communities, to the poor in the slums, suspending electricity bills, which they have not done.
They haven't done.
The only thing
They
the
haven't
president,
mentioned.
the only thing the president said is,
Yes.
"I'm telling you, KPLC, don't switch off people's electricity because of bills."
Yes.
We suspend water. I mean, so many countries have done that. That is how the government needs to come in strongly. Talk to KPLC, cover the bills. Talk to the water bodies that we have around the country, cover the water bills. Ensure there is water, like they're doing in Kibera. Boreholes are being dug immediately now to ensure that there is water, because we need running water. Look for a way of handling the issues of the landlords and rent menace.
Yes.
Because as landlords, and I'm very bitter about it,
Yes.
we are being treated like we stole money to build our houses. So we are being told, don't charge people rent.
Yes.
So how do we survive? How do...
Because that's has been exactly the synonymous communication from the government. Like, don't overcharge. Please give them leeway. But at the same time, that's your business as well.
Yes.
And you're paying taxes as well.
Some people are on serious mortgages,
Yes.
which have not been suspended.
Yes.
Some people took all their savings to put up 10-room Mabatis houses to collect some money to
Yes.
feed their family.
Yes.
People are living in rental houses, and they pay their rent off their rental properties. So you cannot keep on requesting Kenyans. You must be able to take action. Are you giving the landlords a 30% rebate, for example, on their rental income tax? Are you directly injecting money to the landlords so that they don't collect money from the tenants?
Yes.
Those are the practical solutions that are needed now, not the legal jargon and things that involve parliament that will take so long to be able to... I mean, the process of passing a law, it's so long. From some first sitting to second sitting, you know, the public participation and all those. Let the president look for very practical cases where he can cushion Kenyans. If he said today that KPLC and Nairobi Water will not be collecting money for the bills, I can tell you people will celebrate. Because then they'll know they have been covered for that bit.
Yes.
Then we move to another action where we try and send food to the slum areas, because those people in the slums anyway are not going to work, because the places where they were working are already closed. So you cannot tell them that now, since you can be able to move within Nairobi, go to work. The mjengos are closed. Companies have almost closed. Even banks are operating at 20-30% capacity. So there is no activity in the economy. That is what needs to be done. Then we can look at these other issues of the law much, much later.
And that's exactly the communication that we need, isn't it?
Yes.
All right, Enoch, thank you very much for coming this morning. So lastly, on that question, therefore, do you expect that this anti-corona bill, should the government or the parliament therefore find a way of sitting, that it's going to pass?
I mean, considering how our parliament, our National Assembly is currently constituted,
Yes.
it is not difficult to have a law passing, because what happens is, once the committee deals with it and proposes an approval, that is it. It will pass. The question is, who will pass it? 17 members are COVID positive. So many other members are going to quarantine. Some of them are over 58 and have chronic ailments. They cannot appear in parliament. So probably we'll deal with it in June or July when all this is gone. I mean, there's a lot of fear. A member of parliament is not so special. He's a human being like you.
Pretty much.
He has a family.
Yes.
So you cannot tell him to drive to parliament to pass a law, yet he's faced with a medical challenge. He'll stay away, definitely.
And that's where the talking point is, isn't it? All right, thank you very much for watching Metropol's Business Economic Review. The good thing is you can take Enoch back to when he walked into the studio this morning and get to hear his 2 cents on the biggest economic issues that are shaping your economy this morning. Other than that, How are you doing? Are you sanitizing? Are you staying at home if you can? And for those working from home, thank you very much. You're part and parcel of the chain of the COVID-19 pandemic. Good. We take a short break. Once we come back, let's therefore interrogate the public transport sector. How are they going to cope up, and what demands are they going to ask from the government, since their operations have been cut for 21 days? Think about that.
Do you want to know what makes a business successful? Capital. It starts with working capital to fulfill your obligations for, let's say, 1 year. And when you're ready to expand and maybe you may not have the necessary resources, then you take on debt capital, which you can take from a bank or from somebody else if it's money. And when you grow and you want to expand your business even further, you could take on equity capital by listing your business on a private or public market, and then people invest in the shares. On the Capital Point, we rely on data and insights from business leaders from across the economic divide who are at the top of the capital ladder, so that your capital investments are well informed. At this time on Metropol Television.
My name is Nina Shaban.
My name is Fred Makori.
My name is Simba Elijah Shalsky. Tuesdays are for public governance.
Well, you have a point. You do have a point. But at the end of the day, you can't let an industry know.
Wednesdays, talk night. That's what I just said. You're not working. And Thursdays, company business.
Our revenues have dwindled by close to 25%.
The question is how, considering this was a company that was on its way to liquidation.
I'll be taking you through Friday Business, the software. Who is bigger? Is it the owner of the taxi, the driver, or the taxi firm? Turns out that it's the driver, according to NTSA.
18 good hours a day was steering.
It's easy to forget how blessed you are when you surround yourself with toxic people. It's easy to forget how capable you are, how kind you are, how good life is.
It's easy to forget all of your qualities when you surround yourself with the wrong people. It's easy to forget that you have a mind of your own, that you have choices, that your voice matters.
Show me your crew, and I'll show you your future. I'll show you your future, because your future is a reflection of what you allow in your life now.
Toxic people aren't necessarily evil people. They aren't necessarily bad people. They are usually not toxic to everyone. Sometimes they are just people that aren't good for you. Sometimes you're both just toxic for each other because you're not in alignment with each other.
How can you expect to associate with toxicity and not become toxic yourself? If you hang around people who are sick all the time, common sense will tell you it's only a matter of time before you get sick. That's what happens when you hang around the wrong people. They infect you with their negativity and they make you sick. They make you sick with negativity. They make you sick and tired. They make you sick of everything, including yourself and the life you're living. If you want to advance your life and your friends don't, you have a choice to make. You can either choose to live a life according to your standards or live a life according to the standards of your friends.
If the people you are hanging around by choice are not making you better, they are making you worse. Make no mistake about that. The people around you should be making you feel better.
Right, it is that time of the show where we also tell you what is happening in different sectors right now, especially the ones that have been hit heavily by the recent announcement by the president that travels into and out of Nairobi and Kwale, Kilifi and Mombasa have been cancelled. Now, for a period of 21 days, we've already seen 2 days out of that, now probably for the next 19 days, and we're not so sure whether that will also be subject to another extension. While that announcement is happening, you also have to look at exactly the direct players in that industry who've been hit. Because the question has been, yes, you're telling us not to operate, but then so what? Because we're looking at that value chain this morning, therefore, to make us understand how the players in this sector are sort of conforming to this directive and what they are doing now for to cushion the people in this area. Is Jefferson, a leader. He is the Director of Growth and Operations at East Africa Quick Bus. Mr. Luda, thank you very much for coming by.
Asante, thank you.
I just want to study from a very basic point. What happened, therefore, as the head of operations, when the president says this directive for not getting into Nairobi starts now, and you're very sure that you have other buses on the board that are probably going to get into Nairobi probably 2 hours, 3 hours later after that announcement?
I think this was quite sudden. We didn't expect it because it was foreseen, and we hoped that we would have been given at least a little bit of time for us to be able to strategize our activities and plan well and see how best to go around the scenario, because there's a couple of precautions we had taken as a quick bus.
Yes.
And some of these things were, we had on our buses we had thermometers to the infrared thermometers to just make sure that every passenger who's coming on board to the buses are screened. We had taken the initiative of making sure that the buses follow the initiatives that had earlier been given for 1 meter distance and reducing the capacity to almost around 50%.
Yes.
And also offering free masks and gloves to passengers and passing information to these passengers that you should not touch certain surfaces, you should not do this and this. So it was quite sudden. We had planned for this, but we thought we would have been given quite at least a week to prepare for this.
Yes.
And also to plan and see how best, because this is affecting everyone.
Yes.
The bus operators, the service providers, the employees that are under this bus services, and also the travelers themselves that had pre-booked tickets on the same. So it has hindered the whole operations.
Yes.
But it's a move. We understand it's a move towards ensuring that we cap this pandemic. But also it was quite a sudden move that really saddened the bus operators in terms of the operations that currently were ongoing.
Yes. Okay, so make me understand, therefore, just before we get deeper into this conversation, why did you decide on the Kenyan market so that we understand the picture, therefore, on exactly how you're going to be affected by this?
Basically, this is not just the Kenyan market, because as Quick Pass we operate in 5 countries at the moment. We operate in Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Angola, and South Africa. So the heat started quite some time back when the borders were closed for Tanzania and Uganda,
yes,
and also a couple of other places, because we used also Rwanda as a route to connect some of these places. So it started quite a while ago, but we didn't expect for Kenya it would have been, we expected to be told, you know, take the necessary precautions, do this and this, make sure that this is done. So I believe, and I strongly support the government's moves and everything that they're trying to do to make sure that this pandemic is capped.
Yes.
But I believe they're taking very sudden moves that are really affecting every bit of operation for every person, and they're not giving people time to really restructure themselves.
Yes.
So I think this was a really big hit for us, but we are taking this positively. It's a time to reflect on how best we can be able to also improve the capability once things get back to normal, and make sure that we keep this as a service that is safe for the passengers.
Yes.
Yes.
I like the way you're saying that you're taking it positively, but how are you treating the situation now? What sort of announcements did you make to your employees on exactly what's going to happen for the next 21 days?
You know, as service providers, our main objective, because QuickPass is not a bus service, it's a service provider for the buses. So it's a platform where buses, we integrate all bus companies and make sure that they operate and are able to monitor all services under one platform. So I can say for employees, it's quite saddening that we will have to take sudden, as any other industry, we will have to restructure and see how best. Because again, it comes back to financing.
Yes.
If we are not able to make finance out of the business, then we are not able to run the business. So it comes back to now, costs are going to be really cut to very low, minimal operational costs.
Yes.
And this is not because of the pandemic, but because we also want, once things get back to normal, we're able to at least start from a good positive direction. Yes.
All right. This is not the first announcement that actually affected the transport sector, because we do know just prior to this also the CS has also directed your sector also to carry lesser passengers than you normally would. Yes. It looks like it's hit after hit. Yes, as expected. But how did you react to the first one, and have the numbers been reducing?
I can say people are really scared.
Yes.
People were traveling quite a lot.
Yes.
But again, the problem when the first announcement came in, the problem that arose from this was, given that we make money from a full bus.
Yes.
If the bus is full, the more money you get. So if you're told to cut your passenger, passengers to almost half of the bus capacity, then it means you have again to overprice your prices, because you still have to maintain, fuel prices, maintenance of the buses, paying the driver, the conductor, and everyone. So you find it also hits the passengers in a way, because now if the fares were at 1,000 shillings, then we have to move them to 1,800 shillings for us to keep on sustaining the business. So I think it really did not hit us alone, because we are not doing this to just make money out of it, and we are not doing sudden moves, let's say for example, increasing the prices to make sure that we earn from it. We are just making sure that the business continues running.
Yes.
So I think this hit quite hard, but as I said earlier on, we are taking it positively, and one of the things that we'll be doing currently is people who had pre-booked their tickets with QuickPass, we are going to at least assure them that once things, so they are going to have a ticket that does not have an expiry date. So once things resume back to normal, they're not going to be, even if the prices come and the industry is charging 5,000 shillings for the bus tickets, we are just going to maintain and make sure that our customers and passengers get the best out of it.
Yes. Which is now what you're forced to do, so that now you are actually in business at this time and immediately after probably this COVID-19 pandemic is done. So now talk to me now. We do know that Kenya has taken this drastic measure to cut movement into these potent areas, and we do know once you cut Mombasa and Nairobi, that's pretty much you're cutting travel therefore in long distance sectors like yours right now. Have you been forced to look into the other countries now where you are in operation that have not done this, that have not done whatever Nairobi has done, Kenya, has done right now?
I think this has been an awakening call.
Yes.
And some of the countries we are in have already done this. An example is Uganda.
Yes.
Another example is Tanzania.
Yes.
Angola have been given 3 days to do so. So it has been an awakening call, and I think it has been a lesson to all Kenyans, the industries, the employees, every bit of operations that makes life a moving bit has been affected.
Yes.
So I believe, and I'll continue saying, it will slow down our structure in terms of how we had planned to expand in Africa, because you don't know if it's going to take a year, it's going to take 3 months, it's going to take 1 month, it's going to take 5 months.
Even after,
yes.
when people are even doing it after.
Yes. And then, people are going to suffer from a lot of, there's the emotional bit of it, there's the mental bit of it, so it's going to affect a lot of people, and getting back to normal, it's not going to be easy. But as we said, we shall do our best as QuickPass to make sure that we try and connect all because all these industries are connected. It's not only the bus service. Yes. There's there's the flight bit of it, there's the tourism bit of it, there's every bit of it that really is affected, and we sympathize with all of them, and we understand their pain and grief at the moment. Yes. Because it's really a hit. Some of us, we have been forced, same way, to take cuts out of salaries to make sure that we maintain the business continuity and make sure that all the staff are catered for during this period, and we will do our best to make sure that we sustain the service. Yes. Yeah.
I know for a bus service like yours that really caters for the region, regional trade has been one of those areas that have actually boosted your activities. Therefore, how many bus companies do you have under QuickBus, and have you seen them grow during this time that you've been in business?
I can say when we started, it was really slow because the reception in the bus industry was quite traditional, and we were trying to bring, because look at how things have been moving digitally, and given in the next 10 years, things are going to change completely. The same way the taxi industry changed completely. So the reception in the first year of 2018 was not really good, but towards the end of 2019, things started getting very good, and bus companies started onboarding. So before closure of the travel, we were at 8 bus companies. These are main bus companies, and we were looking into signing almost around 20 more within the next 1 month. So because things were really moving very well, and bus companies had seen the impact that QuickBus brings towards the table. So I think it's people will be traumatized, and coming back to normal, as I said, will be a problem for us. Yes.
Talk to me about the local reception as well, because we have to compare exactly how we are approaching technology in our businesses, especially public transport sector, to whatever is happening elsewhere. Would you say that the adoption of your service in Nairobi has grown compared to other areas that you're also in?
Yes. Because our main focus in Q1 2020 was to just focus on Nairobi and cities within Kenya. And it has really grown because we've tried as much as possible to give the best service level provision in the industry and make sure that customers get value for their money. So, and that's been our main focus for the last couple of months. And I think we've seen positive. We've run a lot of surveys with our clients and even different clients, and the reception has been very positive. And people are looking at the ease of getting accessibility to things. Whether you're ordering for goods to be delivered at your house, whether you want to book for a ticket. People don't want to go and line up at the bus station and start making bookings. So I think the reception has been almost around 70% positive. And we were planning to increase that to almost 120% because that's what we are looking. That was our main focus, to just focus in Kenya and make sure that we become an example to other countries.
So talk to me now that your service is probably, I would say, pretty much crippled. Therefore, what are you doing now to sustain yourself? Are you thinking about getting into other services with your ticketing as well for the next 21 days?
Yes, actually, what we're thinking about is introducing a new product called the Flexi Ticket. So guys who really want to plan ahead can pre-book a Flexi Ticket, and that Flexi Ticket can be used anytime, any day, but only given on a notice of 1 day. So if you plan to travel tomorrow, you must state you're traveling today. So you can pre-purchase your ticket, given the fact that we know once things get back to normal, bus companies are going to hike their prices. But we want to assure that our clients that they can pre-book their tickets, but once things get back to normal, they shall not be overcharged. So I think it's going to give our clients a surety that these people actually do or are actually concerned about our pockets, because it's an economic crisis, social crisis, and we want to make sure that we keep in touch with our clients and make sure that they feel the sense of humor and the connection between QuickPass and our clients.
So some people are saying that whatever's happened right now in the economy, especially the world economy, has come as a lesson to the way in which we offer our services. That past this, people are going to look at you and say, well, this happened during COVID-19. How sure are you that I'm safe once I'm using your service? What are some of the lessons you, as a ticketing company, therefore, have really looked at and said, now, if we are actually going to sign a bus service here in this service, they gotta do A, B, C, D.
I think we started this quite a long time. I cannot say it's some of these precautions are because of the COVID-19.
Yes.
Because as QuickPass, we've been doing a lot of things, and some of these things are making sure that we look at the KYC documents of the companies, vet these bus companies before they come in, look at the history of the drivers of the bus companies, you know, accident rates of the bus companies. So I cannot really say we did a lot in terms of in health and this kind of other things, but these are things that were in line to our structure of 2020 to 2021.
Yes.
Because we were planning to even start giving medical insurance covers to, you know, our passengers, give them flight evacuation services, things like this. So some of these things were things that were in thought, and we were really trying to make sure, because I'll tell you for free, when I was still in a different industry, we did a survey and found out that out of every 100 people, 80 of them do not have medical insurance cover, which is quite a hit. And when, you know, with this kind of pandemic, you cannot really depend on certain, you know, amenities offered by the government, because there might not be enough. So I think it has just boosted a little bit on our thoughts into getting serious about healthcare of our clients. And it's something we're looking very deep into it, and promising our clients that we shall have a solution once this is back to normal.
Yes. Aluda, I've spoken to you when you were actually in another industry, but still within public transport.
Yes.
Do you think that the future of long-distance travel is exactly what you're trying to shape right now with QuickBus? And what is really pointing you to that direction in terms of the rates of adoption of your service right now?
I can tell you, if you look at China as a market,
yes,
in terms of this kind of service that we provide, and this is where we got the inspiration from. China is moving almost around 1 billion people. And this is a huge number. If you look at Africa itself, we have almost 880 million people moving annually. This is a very, very huge number of people, and we actually have the courage to say that we think our service, or we know our service, is able to cater for what kind of problems the transport industry is currently experiencing.
Yes.
So I believe that this solution is going to work out.
Yes.
And it might take a while for people to adapt and people to actually, because Africans, the way we are built is we want to relate to a product, see it on a daily basis, see it on the newspaper, see it on, you know, the streets.
Yes.
People talk about it, you know, get a referral from a friend. These are things we're planning to really do and make sure that we earn the trust of the clients, and now be able to work with the clients to provide the service that they require.
Yes.
Because we are not here to provide you a service that we think is a solution. We are here to understand your problem and make sure that we turn your problem into our solution, and make sure that we give you what you actually require on ground.
Yes. Talk to me therefore the complexity of this industry, which is now, I would tell you, it's new. It's now the guys are actually trying to even adopt these local solutions that sort of are under the gig economy. And I would tell you though, some of the ones who've really tried to enter the public sector right in terms of transport have faced a lot of trouble. We do know now, I'll give you an example, is Swivel, which is facing a lot of challenges from the government side as well. Now for you as a company that actually crosses borders as well, is it difficult to understand how to sort of convince the people in the regulation, the regulators to actually come in and see exactly what it is you're trying to do?
I think as QuickPass, I will not say we actually hinder or maybe come as a stop for operations, or rather disrupt the market.
Yes.
What we do is provide a solution that enhances even, we were looking to, on possibilities of working with the government.
Yes.
And all entities in the government that
Yes.
deal with transportation, to help them understand what we're currently doing and what we're planning to do, because we are not bringing a new service. We're just working.
It's already existing.
It's a service that is already
just
existing.
giving a solution.
Yes,
to
we're just giving a solution to ease
Yes.
the movement, and to make sure that we also reduce the congestion in terms of, you know, when you walk into the bus stations, a line of people there, crowded places. These are some of the things that are going to reduce the crowding, because for you to get a ticket, you don't need to go to a bus station.
Yes.
You just go online, book your ticket, make your reservation. You're told this is your bus. We're also planning to do a couple of stops, because people board the buses in town. So to reduce the congestion of people, we'll have boarding points outside the city. So instead of you having to go into the CBD and making or getting your bus in the CBD, you have a quick bus, you know, station where you can be able to wait for the bus and the bus will pick you from there.
Yes.
So these are some of the things that we are trying to sort, and as we said, we're working closely with the bus operators and also working closely with our clients to make sure that we provide solutions on both ends.
Yes.
So I think I cannot say we'll have any trouble. We've not had any trouble since we started so far, but
Yes.
I don't also anticipate that we'll have any trouble because we are looking to make the experience Fatahila gorgeous.
Is it right? Just
fantastic. You know, you just
Yes.
you just have the quick pass experience and you're like, wow, this is experience.
That's exactly where you need to stick to, because that's exactly where you say the industry is headed to, isn't it? All right. Now, finally, therefore, a leader, for you, do you feel that when the government comes in and says, we've cut your services into Nairobi, into Mombasa, into Kilifi and Kwale, because these are the routes that you actually benefit as a service, therefore, because they offer you a direct mouth to feed on when it comes to your sector. You believe that once you do that, you also have to offer a solution to these people, because you do know them and you do know exactly how they're going to get affected.
As I said, some of these things have really gotten us at a point where we had not really planned quite a lot in terms of how to cope with this scenario. But I think it was as I said earlier on, it was an awakening call for us, and we are working all around on the table to make sure that by end of this week we have a solution for all our clients, our bus operators, and also work hand in hand with the government. We're planning to also approach the government and to allow us to do a lot of stickers, you know, telling people about how to keep safe, how to, you know, things like this, because we feel that we play a major role, because transport industry is a huge industry in Kenya.
Yes.
And we play a major role in terms of movement of people. And once things get back to normal, we'll have to make sure that these things do not come back to where, we don't go back to where square zero.
Yes.
So at least we go back to square two. So I think we will provide a solution very soon. We are, as we say, quick pass, we say and do it. Kusema na kutenda.
Kusema na kutenda.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much, Jefferson, for coming by. That was, and still is, Jefferson Aluda, Head of Operations, Quick Bus EA. Want to know about them? Go online. Look at exactly what they do. He's talking about exactly the position now they find themselves under the COVID-19 pandemic. And to him, he says, this is a wake-up call, and they're going to get better. Good. Thank you very much for being part and parcel of Business AM. I've been Simba, Elijah Charles Gig. I'll meet you at 10, 11, and 12 for Metropol News.
Do you want to know what makes a business successful? Capital. It starts with working capital to fulfill your obligations for, let's say, 1 year. And when you're ready to expand and maybe you may not have the necessary resources, then you take on debt capital, which you can take from a bank or from somebody else if it's money. And when you grow and you want to expand your business even further, you could take on equity capital by listing your business on a private or public market, and then people invest in the shares. On the Capital Point, we rely on data and insights from business leaders from across the economic divide who are at the top of the capital ladder, so that your capital investments are well informed. At this time on Metropol Television.
Are you tired of selfies that cut off half the shot, or do not want to walk around with a selfie stick? Well, Airpix is the solution for you. Airpix is a pocket-sized, ultra-light aerial camera designed to change personal photography forever. Let's take it away. AirPix is a revolutionary device that allows people to take stunning air selfies, photos or videos, and claims to be the easiest and most affordable way to capture experiences while remaining immersed in one's life with no need for huge learning curves. Simply put it on your palm and slightly lift it up to launch the device. At only 80 grams, AirPix is pocket-sized and equipped with a 12-megapixel camera for photos and videos of up to 1080p resolution at 30 frames per second. It has 16 GB of onboard memory, supports gesture control, and can record videos in 360 degrees. There is an optional app available on Android and iOS devices that allow for one-touch autonomous flight, editing clips and images, adding filters and sharing to social media. The device is available in 4 different colors to suit your personality. Are you interested in one of these? AirPix retails at 9,995 Kenyan shillings on Amazon or their website airselfiecamera.com. For more tech features, follow us on our social media handles at Metropol TV KE.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 2020 Manufacturing Priority Agenda themed establishing a competitive manufacturing-led economy for job and wealth creation is a how-to guide on how this space can be created. In 2019, we set out to advance policies that would close the manufacturing gap in line with the Big Four agenda. Concerted efforts with our partners in government saw us achieve significant progress in the war against counterfeits, export trade, and strengthened EAC trade relations through reduction of non-trade barriers. In fact, it was both tariff and non-tariff barriers. We appreciate that the government included very progressive measures in the 2019 budget that aimed to achieve improved competitiveness for industry. We must now streamline the execution of the same in order to realize the intended goals. So some of the measures we're proposing this year to establish a competitive manufacturing-led economy include CS, one of the most urgent issues facing this economy is liquidity. And it's our duty to bring forward practical suggestions on improving liquidity and including the supply of oxygen into the economy. The second one is enhancing the competitiveness of locally manufactured goods. And given that we're at about a 12.5% cost disadvantage on most goods compared to our peer competitor nations, CS, it's our urgent request that we do a deep dive together as private sector and government on what are the factors behind it. It's input competitiveness, it's process competitiveness, and it's output competitiveness. Thirdly is creating a pro-industry policy and institutional framework, and the design of coherent and cohesive policies is key between government departments and also between national government and counties. CS, I believe you've also led some measures and discussions with governors on counties, and we'd love to hear more from you about that. This will enhance effective and transparent policy execution. The last one is on enhanced market access. Kenya needs to push for the finalization of the amendments on the NTB Act, advocate for ratification of TFTA and AFCFTA by member states, and fast-track the finalization of an optimal EAC-CET structure that will promote value addition and industrialization. I wish to note that our long-term strategic objective is to share knowledge and solutions to drive the growth of the sector. In this regard, we shall also be presenting this morning 2 policy papers on developing a national industrial policy and a policy brief on inclusive financing for manufacturing.
Do you want to know what makes a business successful? Capital. It starts with working capital to fulfill your obligations for, let's say, 1 year. And when you're ready to expand and maybe you may not have the necessary resources, then you take on debt capital, which you can take from a bank or from somebody else if it's money. And when you grow and you want to expand your business even further, you could take on equity capital by listing your business on a private or public market, and then people invest in the shares. On the Capital Point, we rely on data and insights from business leaders from across the economic divide who are at the top of the capital ladder so that your capital investments are well informed. At this time on Metropol Television.
In this world full of conformity, I dare you to be different. I dare you to stand out. I dare you to stand tall, to stand firm. I dare you to walk in the direction you know is right for you. The direction you know is right. Full stop. I dare you. In this world full of followers, I dare you to be a leader, an innovator, a game changer. I dare you to stop following the crowds. Stop following trends. Stop listening to rubbish advice. And instead, follow your intuition. Open your eyes. See through the BS. I dare you to be different. In this world full of sheep, I dare you to be a lion. To get out there and hunt your goals. Not to wait for things to happen, to make things happen. To get hungry for a life less than ordinary. To get hungry for growth. To get hungry for magic. Do you want an average life or a magic life? In this world that is asleep, I dare you to be different. I dare you to do what's possible for your life. In this world full of lazy, uninspired people, I dare you to be different. I dare you to talk less and work more. I dare you to take action on everything you've been wanting to do, everything you want to achieve. Go get it. Go all in for your goals. Sacrifice for your dreams. In this world of greed, I dare you to be different. I dare you to stand up for what is right. To think of others with the same care as yourself. To do what is right first, before profit. Before achievement, before everything. Let's call it integrity. In this world of blindness, I dare you to open your eyes and see. Take a good look around. Become self-aware. Aware of your strengths. Aware of all the things you need to work on. Take responsibility for where you are and accept the challenge to get where you must go. Are you prepared to fight for your dream life? I dare you to be different. I dare you.
It's agriculture that is the key driver of the Kenyan economy.
Anakuletea na kuzia bei ya chini na wewe inabidi pia uzie customer na bei ile ya chini.
For fresh beans, I can say it actually brings a good income.
Kama ni gunia moja iko na 200 pieces, so hiyo shilingi 5 times 200.
Actually, rainwater is the best for crops.
Whether rain-fed or using rivers to irrigate.
Tunapanga kuweka drip line kwa shamba.
He had thought that we could pump the water with solar.
Different farmers have shared their stories on how they are turning produce to profit.
Akipata kama miti 300 hivi, atakuwa akiokota pesa kama majani.
This is money eating me.
All this we have extensively covered.
This is a test greenhouse. I put it up to see if we can produce organic tomato. I'm not lying, it's very sweet.
And different things that farmers are doing to make profit from produce.
Kuamua ukulima wa makadamia ilikuwa ni kama ndoto.
We are still growing.
Weka mbolea vizuri inakuwa kitu ya kukusaidia. These are net caps.
Other than the French beans you can say, we also have veggies.
Assume the reason why you're using hydroponics is because of the soil-borne problem.
Catch us every week on the Farm Journal here on Metropol TV. This is the Farm Journal.
feel like quitting, remember all of those who said you'd fail. When you feel like giving up, remember why you started. When you feel like quitting, remember what you're doing it all for. When you feel like quitting, remember pain is temporary and greatness lasts forever.
When you feel like quitting, remember that the pain you feel today will be replaced with the strength you need tomorrow. Remember that every ounce of pain you feel is building a stronger you, a stronger body, a stronger mind, and a stronger character. So push through the pain. Don't let it stop you. Force it to grow you.
Don't back down from the pain. Face it. Feel no pain. There is no pain. That painful last rep, that's nothing. Give me more. Push harder.
Too tired, too hard, too busy, too stressed. No. Too tired, no excuses. Too hard, no excuses. Too busy. I will not quit.
Give an average effort. Results don't lie. One simple question. How bad do you want it? And when you feel like quitting, give me 10 more.
Nothing great is going to come if you quit. I know it's hard. I know you are tired. I know it seems impossible, but you must keep going. Stick it out and get your reward.
Telcos, just as the name suggests, is a combination of two names, telephone company. A telecommunications service provider provides telecommunications services such as telephony and data communications access. The history of telecommunication dates back in the 1900s. The internet first became available in Kenya during 1993. Full internet access, however, was established in 1995.